Hello everyone, welcome to episode 68 of Talk Wrestling here on MySpace, YouTube, NoDQCW page, we're on NoDQ.com, Facebook, Twitter, we're everywhere. We are infecting your world slowly but surely. I am Jeff Meacham, of course, and thank you again for watching today. We are well above the subscriber estimates that we had for this time of year, so thank you very much on YouTube. I just want to go over a couple quick things. First of all, no big surprise. Donald Trump is gone from Raw. After I said it would flop, it didn't even last a full hour, a 2-hour show of Raw. Vince has bought the company back and is back in charge. So, you know, pat myself on the back as much as I can. As far as emails go, I appreciate the emails you guys are sending into the YouTube NoDQCW comment page or directly to the NoDQ email. However, I have a shitload of questions in my MySpace inbox for the show and in my Yahoo inbox for the show. So please send them into those two. MySpace.com/NoDQTalkWrestling and TalkWrestlingNoDQ@Yahoo.com. Send them into those two things from now on. I'm not going to be answering any more of the YouTube comment board just because it's a lot to go through for Aaron, a lot to go through for me to try to, you know, cipher through all that shit, and it's supposed to just pop up an email, and there you go. So, I'm sorry. If it makes me a dick, I'm a dick. But if it makes Aaron a dick, he's a dick, whatever. But that's just the way it's going to be from now on, okay? Brief recap from my weekend. Epic War, Pain and Suffering 2009 has come to an end. And I'm a little worse for wear. I have a really bad rib injury right at about here. The doctors say it's really severe rib bruising, possible hairline fracture in my ribs, thanks to a certain West Coast Wrestling Company owner, operator, whatever you want to call him, Adam Ginsberg. And now you challenged your own boy, your main guy in your own company, Devin Sparks, for the championship coming up on July 3rd. Adam, I'll be there ringside, hurt or not, and I'll do everything in my power to make sure you are not the West Coast Heavyweight Champion because you hurt me bad. You know, it's one thing to, you know, slap me in the face or punch me in the face. I don't mind that. I've been slapped before, I've been punched before. Lord knows I've taken my licks on no DQ shows. But you want to elbow me right in the small of my back and cause severe injuries and try to put me out of wrestling? That's a whole other thing entirely. We're coming for you, Ginsberg. July 3rd, 2009. A Declaration of Independence, Epic War. MySpace.com/ProWrestlingWar for all that. Alright, enough of that nonsense. Let's get to your questions. This is from Steve S. What do you think about the lack of managers in wrestling today? Well, I assume you're talking about WWE wrestling because in TNA they have some managers, and in the indie scene they have a shitload of managers, including me, including the VRQ guy today, Greg Cherry. We're both managers. Oh wow, right up my nose. Fucking fly, dude. I think the lack of managers in WWE is out of necessity, to be honest with you. You know, the guys in WWE need to have themselves be able to put themselves over. I don't know how much sense that made. They need to be able to put themselves over in WWE. They can't just have somebody talk for them or their crowd will shit on them. That's how the WWE crowd is. But, you know, when you have a stable, for example, I'm managing a group of guys who, you know, are great workers and are, you know, pretty good talkers. But they need an extra boost to have somebody really speak for them and really make them stand out as a faction and as a stable, whatever you want to call it, and to have somebody that will be truly just despised and over the top and obnoxious, and nobody does that better than Jeff Meacham. You know, you guys didn't like the show where I was Grumpy Gus. That's how I am in Epic War all the time. I'm the most miserable, most obnoxious, most over-the-top, in-your-face, F you, bastard you can think of. And the crowd just eats me alive for it. The crowd just goes after me, they chase me, the wrestlers chase me, the wrestlers, you know, spit on me, and elbow drop me in the back and cause me to sit here in pain and all this stuff. It's incredible. The manager lacking in WWE is not so much lacking, it's just out of necessity, like I said. TNA, you've got, a lot of guys that do a lot of their own talking as well. You had Miss Jackie for a while. She's apparently going back on the road. Raka Khan was more of a valet. She didn't say very much. Raisha Saeed's a great manager when she's there. Because Kong shouldn't talk very much. That's just the nature of the character, in my opinion. But WWE, yeah, there's not many managers. And like I said, is anybody really hurting without a manager in WWE? I don't think so. This is from Frankie D. Do you think the WWE and pay-per-views would benefit more if only a few were held during the year? For instance, back before the In Your House days, the WWE only held the Rumble, WrestleMania, King of the Ring, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. I just think that keeping the important pay-per-views will help by adding more prestige to matches, the wrestlers, storylines, and pay-per-views themselves. So, for instance, talent would have to work harder in order to gain a spot in the match. Storyline would have more credibility because it's being held on one of the few pay-per-views. I've said this for a very long time. I think I said this on the XNV at one point. I think we all agreed on that in the XNV days, that there's too many pay-per-views for both companies. To have only King of the Rings gone, so only 4 pay-per-views a year would definitely benefit everybody, because you'd have to build up and work toward a pay-per-view instead of having to scramble for a storyline once a month or sometimes once every 2 or 3 weeks. It's very interesting to me that WWE feels that we are, enjoying this haphazard storylines that they're presenting to us once a week or once a month or even, twice a month or whatever. And they're dragging things out over the course of pay-per-views instead of building toward that one big pay-per-view. Like the John Cena Big Show feud, like the Randy Orton Triple H feud. Those two have played themselves out, those two feuds. And I think, sorry. I think they would benefit if they had to build toward a WrestleMania or a SummerSlam or a Survivor Series or a Royal Rumble and have the storyline play out on TV more than just boom, 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 done. This is from Matt S. as opposed to Steve S. earlier. Who are your top 5 indie guys you believe could make it big, either in WWE or in TNA? What are your picks and why? I like this question a lot. I like indie wrestling. So. Joey Ryan, because of his over-the-top charisma and his great in-ring work. T.J. Perkins is right up there as well. He is a former TNA star as Puma, and he has the opportunity to make it big in WWE or TNA again if he is noticed. He's in Florida right now, so hopefully he gets noticed by the WWE talent scouts. Chris Hero and Claudio Castagnoli, they've used to form the Kings of Wrestling in Ring of Honor and other promotions. Those two are great big guys. They're not big, but they're tall, they're big, and they have a build enough where they could be big guys. And I'll go with Scott Lost, also a Southern California guy who doesn't get near enough credit, in my opinion, in this sector of the world, or in even in this sector of the country. He is a great talent, and he's such a good talker. He is one of those guys you just want to flick in the face and go, just shut up. He's funny. I like Scott Lost. So those guys. This is from D31S31. Do you think the whole Vicky Edge and later Big Show storyline was a slap in the face of the legacy of Eddie? I know it was a storyline and the show must go on, but the marriage thing has been done so many times before. She is running around making out with all these guys on national television starting less than 2 years after Eddie died. She doesn't have any business being in the business. Everything she's been doing since the storyline started, to me, was a slap in the face of Eddie. I didn't like Vicky being around. I agree with that. However, she knew Eddie better than anybody, and I think that anything that would have been too over the top would have been nixed. But there's the other side of that says that there's a car going by and makes noise. So I was trying to talk about Eddie, and there's a truck making all kinds of hysterical noise, and now the dog's barking. With Eddie's legacy is in place. He is one of the all-time greats. Former WWE champion, former, Intercontinental Tag Team, European Cruiserweight champion, and everything. And you have little dogs yipping about Eddie's legacy. That really pissed me off. Jesus Christ. Unbelievable. I don't think Eddie's legacy has been spit on too much by Vicky's involvement. I think his legacy is firm. If anybody spit on Eddie's legacy at this point, it's Chavo and Vicky together. Vicky's gone, but Chavo still sucks, and he's Eddie's nephew, and he's terrible. So it's really a matter of it's not really objective, it's subjective. It's a matter of opinion. This is from The Next Big Thing. Hi Jeff, what do you think has been the best WWE produced DVD? I personally think it's The Triumph and Tragedy of World Class. I'm not seeing that, so I can't make my opinion on that. Of the WWE DVDs that I have that I've seen, I think the best produced WWE DVD has to be the WrestleMania Anthology Group, 1 through whatever Aaron has, 22 that he has at his house. The way they not just the DVD content itself, the production value itself, but the presentation as well of the WrestleManias in their packaging. That was cool. You've also got the Hulk Hogan anthology, very well done. A little bit too kayfabe, but still very good. The Ultimate Ric Flair collection and the Definitive Ric Flair collection, both of them were very good. What was a really good one was if you enjoy strictly kayfabe DVD, Sky Standing Character, no biographical DVD, whatever it was, Edge's DVD. That was really good. Heartbreak and Triumph was also very good. Bret Hart's DVD, The Best Race, Best Horse, Best Ever Will Be. The Bret Hart story was very good. There's a lot of them. I can't really pick just one. There are so many that were good. This is from Addisfaction 94. I'm sure you've had this question asked before, but I want to know if you think the WWE should have a makeover for the World Heavyweight Championship. I know you mentioned that the WWE title needs a new look, but the World title goes back to WCW. It hasn't gotten a makeover from the WWE ever. WWE's had makeovers for the WWE and ECW titles. Even TNA's had a makeover for their title. What do you think? Let me just correct that real quick. TNA didn't have a makeover for their championship. They just replaced the NWA title with the TNA title. I think they keep the World Championship the way it looks, even though it's not exactly the big gold belt because it has the WWE logo on top. They keep it that way to add the prestige to it, I guess, to make it seem like a viable championship. But keep in mind, it's only been around 7 years. It hasn't been around since 1963 like the WWE Championship. It hasn't been around since 1992 like the ECW Championship. It's a very new championship, but it's been held by some of the greats: Triple H, Batista, Orton, Edge, John Cena, CM Punk now, Jeff Hardy. Yes, I said Jeff Hardy on the all-time great list. Don't kill me. Don't be all surprised. But Jeff Hardy is one of the better ones they've had. They've had a lot of great World Heavyweight Champions, and I think taking the design away from it would lessen the prestige of it. ECW Championship makeover was strictly out of necessity, in my opinion, because they don't want it to be the old ECW anymore. So they did everything they could to take away from it. The only thing that's the same is that an ECW original holds the title now, and that's Tommy Dreamer. God, go Tommy. And the WWE Championship, they can do whatever they want with it. It's been around for 46 years. So, 46, no. Yeah, 46 years this year. So, they don't really care anymore. They really don't. I got a question. This is from KKWWE10. I got a question I've always wanted an answer to. In the 97 edition of the PWI 500, Dean Malenko was ranked number 1. That was the same year that I mentioned last week that Masawa was ranked number 2. I was always wondering how Dean got the number 1 spot without even holding a world title that year. I understand Dean is one of a kind talent, but how did he get the number 1 spot? They mentioned this in the rankings when they published the issue that year. They had such a hard time trying to figure out who's the best overall combination of technical and verbal and everything skill that they just, okay, best technical wrestler is the best in the world. Boom, done, right there, and they picked Dean Malenko. He was the best technical wrestler in the world at that time. There's no doubt about that. Dean Malenko was on top as far as technical skills go. He's very much like a Bryan Danielson is today, very much like a lot of the technical wrestlers are today in the indie scene. Just the best in the world, and don't get near enough recognition by the mainstream wrestling press, because they're not, these big, colorful characters. Malenko wasn't a big, colorful character. He was what he was, and he was the best. And that's why he was given that spot. That's why Misawa was number 2 that year. He was number 2 in the world, technical-wise. Now, Austin was number 3. You can't... In that year, you couldn't even bear those 3. Malenko, Misawa, and Austin. Those are the top 3 guys of that year. This is from Australian WCW fan. The Montreal Screwjob was the most controversial match in WWF/WWE history, and we all know it shouldn't have happened. But who was in the wrong? Bret for wanting to do it his way and vacate the championship, or Vince for pulling the pin on the match? I've had this question a few times in my no DQ career, but I'll address it. When it comes right down to it, Bret had 30 days reasonable creative control. But in some eyes, he wasn't being reasonable. He had it in his head that he was this great hero in Canada, and that losing the championship in Canada would have completely killed the territory for the WWF. But you know what? The WWE still goes to Canada to this day, and they're the hottest crowds. And he did lose the championship that day in Montreal, didn't he? It's hard to say which one was wrong, more wrong. They're both wrong. They were both wrong. There's no doubt about that. But Vince shouldn't have done it the way he did it. And Shawn Michaels is also in the wrong there. Jerry Briscoe's in the wrong. Triple H is in the wrong. And, by the way, best wishes to Jerry Briscoe. He's had 3 strokes lately. So, get well soon, Jerry. I know you don't watch this show. You really don't care about talk wrestling. But I care about Jerry Briscoe. So, best wishes, Jerry. Nobody was really more in the wrong than anybody else, I don't think. I think that just everybody... The whole situation was just so bad and so sad. And it could have been handled so much better if they'd done it any other way. But they didn't. And it is what it is now. This is from RKO WNEDU. Hey Jeff, by the way, nice beard. Well, thank you. It's going to be gone after the Marquez show. I got to shave for Epic War because I'm a little too scraggly for my group. I don't like it very much. What do you think is the worst and best gimmick of today and of all time? Holy crap. I mentioned this and I've answered this, but I'll go ahead and do it again. Best gimmick of all time is... And today, if he comes back, is The Undertaker. Undertaker has a phenomenal gimmick, a phenomenal presence that nobody can touch. Nobody can touch that. Undertaker has such an aura about him, nobody can even touch him. The worst gimmick of all time, probably the Red Rooster. God bless Terry Taylor, but that was a horrible gimmick. And of today, the recently fired Santina Marella. Donald Trump fired her Monday on Raw. And we've probably seen the last of her, thank God. That was so bad. Unless Vince rehires her. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's been the worst. Red Rooster and Santina. But the best of all time, and even today, is The Undertaker. Alright, today's VRQ comes from an old buddy, Greg Cherry, the Pennsylvania Sensation, host of The Sensational Experience on YouTube, which you can find at youtube.com/TSExperience. He has a question regarding the indie scene on the East Coast. Let's take a look.
Hey Jeff, what's going on? It's Greg from TSE on youtube.com/TSExperience and myspace.com/TheSensationalExperience. Now that I got that out of the way, my question to you is, what do you think about the East Coast indie scene? I know you know about the West Coast indie scene, PWG and all that. What are your thoughts on the East Coast scene? Do you think some different organizations are stronger or weaker than some you've seen on the West Coast. Just what are your overall thoughts on that?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Not too familiar with the East Coast indie scene, other than what I see in the wrestling mags and on the internet. I mean, Ring of Honor, of course, is the hotbed out there in the East Coast. The NWA has a lot of promotions out there, including your promotion out there you work for, Greg, NWA East, I believe. CCW's still going strong. I don't know how, but they are. Because they're all just, I mean, from what I've seen of CCW, it's a bunch of hardcore nonsense, but, to each his own. Everybody's got their own appreciation for wrestling. I prefer the wrestling stuff. Some people prefer the weapons and the violence. That's, whatever. I think East Coast has a strong following, but so does West Coast. You got a lot of promotions out here, including the NWA promotions, including Epic War, including West Coast, including PWG, of course, and all these guys that are running really strong. It's very, I see it as very even as far as strength-wise, how they measure up against one another. I think they're both very, very hot, especially right now with the way WWE and TNA are performing to standards. Oh, by the way, speaking of TNA, I forgot to mention this at the top of the show. Got to mention it right now. Thank you for your question, Greg, by the way. Kurt Angle is the World Heavyweight Champion with Samoa Joe's help? Really? He turns on everybody and joins the Mafia? After all this time of hunting the Mafia down one by one or sometimes two at a time, he helps Kurt Angle win the World Championship at King of the Mountain? What? That's horrible. And what was it with Kurt Angle's hair and beard? Was that even Kurt Angle? Was it like... I wonder if it was Eric Angle. I wonder if it was Eric Angle impersonating Kurt. It didn't look like Kurt Angle to me. Just saying. Thank you again, Greg, for your question. I hope you enjoyed my answer. That'll do it for episode 68 of Talk Wrestling. Thank you all for watching. Again, YouTube subscribers, as I read this, we are at... What are we at here, Aaron?
7,600.
7,600.
Spirit of 76.
Spirit of 76. Almost 7,600, yeah. 7,545 as I read this right now. But I'm sure I'm going to get more as we go on. Thank you again for subscribing. Again, 10,000 by the end of the year. That's the goal. And we're well on our way. Don't forget to tune in next time. I plugged this earlier when I talked about the NWA Championship. But Dave Marquez is going to be joining us next time on Talk Wrestling to talk about his life story, essentially. He's going to talk about his coming up in the business, coming up, how he came from a Walt Disney person to coming back into the business after being in the business before Walt Disney and joining the business and being where he is now, talking about various things within the NWA. It's going to be fun. I enjoy the interview. You guys will enjoy it too, hopefully. Some people won't enjoy it. Yeah. But most people will enjoy it, I think. This Sunday, a couple of things going on. Of course, No DQ's exclusive coverage of The Bash, the WWE pay-per-view, which you're going to see Triple H and Randy Orton for the 3,968th time on pay-per-view. But this time it's a 3 Stages of Hell match. I couldn't do that without hurting. Thank you, Vince, for making me do your impression and making me hurt. I appreciate that. Plus other matches, of course, Jeff Hardy and CM Punk, John Cena, Miz, Michelle McCool and Melina for the Women's Championship. Wow. And so much more. Also starting this Sunday the 28th, Aaron is doing something I think is really cool. We're going to be posting old archived episodes of the original Extreme Mayhem. I'm not talking about XMV even. I'm talking about the old audio show going back to 2002. I believe I have the debut show saved here. So maybe you put that one up first, just to get a comparison.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Introduce my co-hosts. Good old JM, as Mike said. Yes, I'm looking forward to being utterly embarrassed because some of those shows were good and some of those shows were very, very bad. We have interviews with Bobby Heenan, Buff Bagwell, Joni Lauer, China, Mike Tenay, if I can find it. Vince Russo was in there. Long interview with Vince Russo. We got a great interview. I did that interview on my college on my college campus in the middle of the freaking classes. While everybody was doing classes, I had a free period, so I did the entire interview with Vince Russo that day on my college campus, trying to keep quiet because it was a night class. So that was awesome. Starting the 28th, this Sunday, check it out. I'm looking forward to seeing them up. I'm looking forward to downloading them again and listening to them again. So check that out. Extreme Mayhem coming up this Sunday, the 28th, and the Bash coverage. And you'll find all of this and more at NoDQ.com and our various pages, which you can find right over here if you're on MySpace, right over here if you're on YouTube. For now, this is episode 68. Tune in for 69. 69. I know, it's lame. See you next time.